So I'm sure you've been asked this, and I've been asked this question too, and that is, what do you do for a living? Because you could simply answer, I'm a Betfair trader, or I'm a sports trader, or you could say, I'm a professional gambler, or you could say a whole number of things, all of which would be equally valid, but will solicit an unusual response probably from the person that you're speaking to. But I often say to people, well, I watch sports for a living. Because if you look at what I've just done in the last 24 hours, last night I was trading the US Masters Golf, did that through until it finished, which I can't remember exactly when it was, past 11 o'clock I think, once I'd tidy things up. And then I moved on to the Australian racing first thing in the morning, and then got a little bit of rest before getting stuck in to the Aintree Grand National meeting today. And, you know, it's a proper job for me. And the interesting thing is that that routine hasn't changed much over the years. But one thing that also hasn't changed much is people do get confused by exactly what you're doing. So I try and reach out regularly to various different people and outlets to try and get across the concept of exactly what I'm doing, to show them what is possible. And a few years ago, I actually managed to do an interview with the BBC where we actually discussed this exact topic. You know, what do I do for a living? How does it work? And in the interview, I got the chance to be quizzed by somebody and to talk to them about exactly what my job entails and exactly what the role of a sports trader is and exactly what they do.
Well, you need to be on Planet Zog not to know that it's Grand National Day today. But a man from Hook maybe has solved all our problems, because Peter Webb has developed a scientific approach to gambling which he believes guarantees you a win. There are 40 horses running today in the big race. Can he really get us a winner? Peter, welcome to the programme. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
Where did you get this from, and was it originally applicable to the financial markets?
Yeah, the concept was, when you look at financial markets, you look at a graph and you can see the price of a stock. And when you look at the price of horses, for example, in the national or any other race, people try and anticipate if it's got a good chance of winning or if the horse looks good. And the same sort of principles can apply. On a betting exchange, you can have loads of people that want to either back or lay.
So basically, you have turned sports betting into the equivalent of the commodities market.
Effectively, yeah.
You're buying high,
selling low.
And selling low.
Yeah. But apart from you're selling the risk or buying the risk that the horse will or won't win that particular race. If you can anticipate where
you're basing it not on any knowledge of horse racing, jockeys, weights, distances, anything else like that, just on assessing what the public perception is.
Yeah, although sometimes, for example, if a horse is sweating up or doesn't look very comfortable before a race starts, then its price will get bigger. So you can put as much of racing into it or as little as you wish, really.
There's an old economic principle, is there not? I mean, I'm vaguely trying to remember my first arts economics lectures a long time ago, that I think they call it the pretty girl pageant syndrome. It's not necessarily the prettiest girl in the lineup that the judges will vote for, but the girl that they think the public perception is of the prettiest. So that's what you're actually saying.
Yeah.
You're being driven by the price, which in turn is driven by the racegoers who place their money.
Essentially, yeah. So,
but they may know more than you do.
Yeah, but what we do is we buy and sell effectively the odds. So if we think the price on something is going to get shorter and shorter, then we can...
Are you actually doing that in the Grand National?
Yes, and I've started already. I started first thing this morning.
So what's your best? So you're doing a bit of spread in there as well?
Yeah, you know, if we think there's going to be a lot of interest around sea bass, so we'll be keeping an eye.
That's because Katie Walsh is riding it.
Correct, yeah. Everybody, you know, it would be a nice story, wouldn't it?
We sent off 8-1 favourite and finished fourth.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it works, isn't it?
Is. But if we think that people are going to start backing sea bass because of all of the media interest that happens this morning, then we can back sea bass at a high price and sell it back at a lower price and net the difference between the two.
Right, now we're at the kernel of your system.
Yep.
Your system is not necessarily to pick a winner.
Correct.
So people should be aware of that. But it is a foolproof system, as Peter has now explained, whereby if Casey Price's horse is now, I don't know, it might be 12 to 1. If Peter and his system think that it's going to go lower, what do you do?
So if we think that the price on something is going to head lower, it's going to be backed heavily, or people are going to start betting on it, then we will actually back it at the price that's available.
The current price. You'll back it. You'll have 100 quid at 12 to 1.
Correct. And then when the price starts to come in, then we will lay it back into the market and net the profit between the two prices.
So it goes into 8 to 1 for argument's sake, and you say, if this horse wins, I now have £1,200 in my kitty. So I tell you what I'll do. It's 8 to 1. Why don't you have a bet with me at 10 to 1?
Yeah, so, I mean, we can do something really clever, which is we can actually then, if we've made a profit, can spread the profit across the rest of the field. So when the National starts this afternoon, we would have identified several horses that are getting shorter in price or getting longer, and then we would have locked in a profit on that and then spread it across the field. So when the National starts this afternoon...
You can't lose.
I can't lose. I would have won money already.
No matter what happens.
Whatever happens. When that race starts, I can sit back and...
But, okay, let's go back to your imaginary £1,000 at 10 to 1. So... You've backed that at 10 to 1?
Yeah, with a betting exchange, a bookmaker.
Betting exchange. Okay, so there's £1,000 coming to the web coffers if this horse wins.
Correct.
You then offer it at 8 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens if somebody plunges in and has £2,000 with you at 8 to 1?
You can never guarantee that you will absolutely, definitely get it right, but the vast majority of the times you do. And on the National, where there's so much interest, it's nearly always pretty much guaranteed that we will get it right.
It is absolutely fascinating. It came from the financial markets. It's gone into racing. Is there anywhere else it can go?
I mean, we do all sports. So if you look at Gareth Bale fell and twisted his ankle on the Europa League match with Spurs on Thursday. So my immediate thought turned to this Saturday in the match against Everton and expected the price to adjust to reflect that injury and the fact that Bale wouldn't be playing. So in the same principle that you use it on racing, you can use it in golf, in football, in a whole variety of different sports.
Let's go to the Masters.
Okay. It's one of the issues that I have with the Masters now is because Rory McIlroy is doing so well, it almost puts me off wanting to place a bet or a position on the Masters because I'd love him to win. Whereas if I was going to do something this evening on the Masters, I'm honestly looking for McIlroy to make a mistake and get the opportunity to lay him at a very low price. In other words, bet for him not to...
Using the word lay, that means to bet against him, as it were.
Correct, yeah.
When you say how much money, are you talking hundreds, thousands?
It can vary. I can't tell you now.
No, tell me the truth about how much you made out.
Okay.
All right.
Last year, I made about £1,200 out of the National. And that was before the race had started and...
Before anything had happened.
And before anything had happened and whoever had won.
You can make a living out of this.
Yeah, it's still gambling, but we're gambling on the volatility of prices and the way the odds move and so on.
So what's your day now? You're going to go home to the missus and look at a whole bank of screens, and she's going to say, we've got to go to the Oracle and get something for supper, and you're going to say, well, just in a moment. And you're going to fiddle with your computer and make £4,000 in the afternoon.
Well, the day actually started for me at 3 o'clock this morning.
Oh, stop.
So,
but you don't know anything about Australian racing, but it doesn't matter, I suppose. And I presume that you have the inevitable website.
Yes.
That people can look at this phenomenon. There'll be a lot of people out there who they wouldn't be rude and say, oh, this is all gobbledygook, but they might quite understand the principle. I'm not even sure that I sort of understand it myself because I've been hanging around for so long. But what's the website?
If you visit betangel.com.
BetAngel?
BetAngel, yeah.
Right, we'll find it all there.
And that explains all of the detail on how it works and how to do it.
Peter, thanks very much indeed. It's an intriguing prospect. We'll let you... It'll be interesting to see. Seabass is the one that you think now is the prettiest girl in the pageant.
That looks pretty at the moment, yeah.
11:15, BBC Radio.
So I hope that interview was useful for you. You can tell in there we were talking quite openly about exactly what I do and how. the sort of level of commitment that I put into it, but also some of the key concepts. And there were some good examples there that you should recognize, because the sort of stuff that I talk about now and the sort of things that I do now in the markets are fundamentally the same as when I did that interview. And that interview is actually quite a few years old now. So in fact, you can see that over that time, not much has changed. I'd say the only thing that has changed for me is that I'm more experienced, I trade more markets now, and I'm more confident with a lot of the stuff that I do. But the important message that I'm trying to send to you here is that the concept of what I do is fundamentally sound. The concept of sports trading is a thing. It's been done over a large number of years, and you can see that the concept of exactly how you'll do it hasn't changed that much over that particular period of time. But yeah, sports trading is a thing that I love doing for a living. I love watching sports. I love trading them. I love looking at all of the statistics and analysing stuff as well. That increases my enjoyment of the sport itself. But hopefully what you've gained from this video is a deeper understanding of exactly what sports trading is, and essentially how you would do it. And also the fact that it certainly is possible and has been so for a large number of years. Anyhow, I hope that video was useful for you.